My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa! Today, I am very excited because I think I'm doing something somewhat unique to Booktube. A crossover of video types from one part of YouTube to another part of YouTube. Now, I could be wrong. I did a little bit of kind of like Googling and YouTube searching, so I may be wrong. But I think that I am the first person to bring the Antihaul to Booktube. So if you don't know what an Antihaul is, this is something that is a very popular video right now in the beauty YouTube space. And I do like watching those videos, so I've seen a lot of Antihauls. And to the best of my knowledge, they were started by a YouTuber named Kimberly Clark, who is fantastic, and I will link the first of her Antihauls below. She's a drag queen. She's really just very well spoken and very intelligent, and talks very thoughtfully, I think, about consumerism, particularly consumerism with respect to like the cosmetic industry and the skincare industry. So she started a series of videos called Antihauls, and basically the whole point of the Antihaul is what she's not going to buy. So she's not going to buy this new makeup palette. She's not going to buy this new lipstick. She's not going to buy whatever. And the point of them is not to bash the brands or not to bash the people who make those products. The point is to say, as consumers, we are inundated with products every day, and that here on YouTube, a part of what people are doing is kind of supporting that consumerism. And she doesn't, I mean, she's on YouTube, so it's not that she necessarily thinks that is a bad thing. But what she's kind of calling people to is to be a little bit more thoughtful and kind of deliberate about knowing when people are using hyperbole on them, right? So in the beauty community, there's a lot of, oh my gosh, you have to have this or else you're gonna, like, you'll die. This is holy grail. This is amazing. Drop everything, go out and get this. So very hyperbolic language trying to encourage people to spend money. So as sort of a counterforce against that, what Kimberly is doing is saying, okay, I'm going to use the same kind of hyperbolic language, but I'm going to do it about what you shouldn't buy. So rather than saying, drop everything and go to the store now, she's saying, drop nothing and stay right where you are. So while I don't think that the Booktube space is quite as sort of consumeristic, like consumer driven and sort of like materialistically driven as the beauty space is, I do think that there is some sometimes unthoughtful consumerism that happens here on Booktube. And I don't think I'm alone in saying that. And actually, I think that I'm kind of participating in it, right? I mean, I've posted a haul before and I will do it again, but I do think that there's a tendency on Booktube to be very focused on the aesthetics of books sometimes, and also just on the procurement of books, and maybe not as much on the actual reading of them. And again, I'm not saying that Booktube is anything like as bad with this respect as makeup is, right? So the beauty community, I think this is a much easier problem to identify. But I do think that this is an element of Booktube, and with that in mind, I think that there is kind of a valid reason to do some anti-hauling here in the Booktube space. So I'm going to start doing anti-hauls as well as doing hauls, because I feel like it kind of balances each other out a little bit, and maybe this will give you some perspective and help on maybe reasons why you shouldn't buy some of the books that are super hyped up here on Booktube. So for my very first anti-haul here on Booktube, what I wanted to do was focus on YA releases. Now, I'm not doing this because I hate YA. I'm not doing this because I think you shouldn't read YA. I'm not doing this because YA is bad. I'm doing this because YA is not the primary thing that I read, but arguably, it is kind of the primary books that get hyped up here on Booktube. And so what happens, at least for me, is that I see all of these people who I really like and whose opinions I trust getting really excited about a book that I know I'm probably not going to enjoy, and that I certainly shouldn't actually buy. So some of the things that you'll see in this particular haul, I might end up buying someday if I read them and like them, but I can't justify buying them right now because there's not a good enough chance that I'm actually going to enjoy that book for me to risk actually spending money on it rather than just getting it from the library. So without further ado, here are the books that I am not going to buy, YA edition. Okay, first up in the books that I'm not going to buy is Illuminae. not sure how you say this. I've seen this on so many people's videos, and here's the thing. To this day, I cannot tell you what this book is about. I have no idea what this book is about. The reason I want to buy it is because A, a lot of people have talked about it, and B, because I think the cover is pretty. I mean, look at it. It is a very pretty cover, and I want it. I like orange. I want it on my shelf. But you know what? I'm not going to read this book. I don't even know what this book is about, so I cannot buy it. If I really want it, I can get it from the library, but I'm not even going to do that because literally the only reason why I want this book is because it's pretty, and that is not a good enough reason to buy it. No thank you, no. Next up, Divergent. So here's the thing. I know that opinions are very split about Divergent, and some people love it and some people hate it. Here's why I cannot buy it and why I can't even start reading it. I read The Hunger Games, okay? I read all 3 of them. This was back when I was commuting every week between DC and Chicago. So every Thursday when I would get on the plane from Chicago back to DC, I would read a book. And so one fateful week, my roommate's copy of The Hunger Games with me, and I started reading. And I read it, and I read the whole damn series in one weekend, and it messed my life up, okay? So like, I'm not going to tell you that I was like crying and shaking in the bed by the end of it and like rocking back and forth, like saying Psalm 23 to myself, but like it was close. Those books were very, very good, but they were so depressing to me and like just kind of ruined my month. I had to reread Harry Potter like 3 times to get myself out of just like the existential crisis that Hunger Games sent me into. All of that to say, I can't read these because even if they're good, like, I just on a soul level cannot deal with dystopia like that. Like, I just can't, and I need to know my limits and know that this is just not one that's going to be for me. So I cannot buy Divergent, and I can't even read it. I can't even get it from the library. I don't need it in my life, and I'm not going to buy it. Next up is anything from Rainbow Rowell. Okay, here's the deal. I know people love Rainbow Rowell, and here's the thing. If you love her, that's great. I'm happy for you. I tried reading Eleanor and Park, and I hated it. Like, I got a couple chapters in and was like, I don't understand what all the hype's about. I don't want to be reading this anymore. I can't believe I waited like 2 months or something to get this from the library. Like, this was such a letdown. And so ever since then, I've always like dipped my toe in. So like I'll get chapter sample from my Kindle and I'll read a little bit of it and I'll be like, no, still no. I don't like this. I don't like Rainbow Rowell. And I wish I did because everybody loves her. I don't though. And so I can't buy her. And you know what? I'm also going to stop trying to pretend that I'm going to like any of her books. So I'm going to stop reading these samples and just say no. Rainbow Rowell is not for me, and that's okay. I don't need it, and I'm not going to buy it. Next up is The Fault in Our Stars by John Greene. So obviously this was much more hyped up a couple of years ago, but people still talk about John Greene somewhat and still definitely reference this particular book. Here's the thing. In general, I resent deeply books that are designed to make you cry. Like, where I get to the end of it and feel like the only reason this author spent time putting these words on this piece of paper is because they are some kind of sick fuck who just wants me to cry. And like somewhere right now they're twirling their mustache laughing because they got me to cry. And I don't know that that's exactly what this is, but like I know enough about the premise that I kind of feel like that's what this is. Now if you love this book, that's great. I'm just saying for me, that is my perception of this. And I have enough other books that I haven't read that I know have some sadness in them that I don't think are going to be as kind of emotionally manipulative as this particular book. So I don't need it and I'm not going to buy it. So next up is 13 Reasons Why. So right now this is a very, very hot book because of the Netflix series. And I remember when this first came out, I remember reading the premise and thinking, girl, I don't know. I don't know. This seems like it could get real dicey real fast if it's not handled very well. And from what I've gathered, there's pretty mixed reviews as to whether or not that premise is handled in a way that's responsible. And here's the thing, I just don't want that in my head, to be honest. Like, suicide is something that's really, I think I'm not saying it's taboo. I'm not saying I would never read a book about suicide. I just think that it's a really serious subject matter. Like, 2 kids from one of the high schools in my hometown recently killed themselves, sort of like in not a pact, but like in a series of events, a couple of kids ended up killing themselves. So this is really serious stuff, and I frankly just kind of don't want to spend my time or my money on this. Yeah, I don't need it, and I'm not going to buy it. I'm not even going to get it from the library. I'm just not going to read it. The next step is Twilight. So I think I've mentioned before that I've actually read the first Twilight book when I was a young adult. I did not like it then. I have no reason to think I would like it better now, but people love it. People talk about it so glowingly and talk about it with such nostalgia and fondness that I think, ooh, I want that. I love books that I have nostalgia and fondness for. I want that. I want it. And look at the pretty series. Look how beautiful all the spines would be together. Oh, I would love to have that on my shelf. No, I don't need this. I've read the first book and I didn't like it. Why do I want to keep reading this series? It's not like they're short. It's not like I'm reading a couple of Babysitter Club books. These are like long books with a lot of angst and a lot of teenage werewolves. Like, I do not have time in my life for this, and I don't need to spend my money on it. I don't need it, I'm not going to buy it, and I'm not going to finish reading this series. No matter how much I'm jealous of other people's nostalgia, I can't do it. Okay, here's where shit's gonna start to get real, and here's where people are gonna start to get mad. So let me just say, again, I mean, I feel like I shouldn't have to give these disclaimers, but like, people are petty, and I do. So here's the thing, if any of the next 3 series that I'm about to talk to are your faves, that is fine. 2 of these series I'm even saying I want to read. Like, I'm gonna get them from the library, I want to read them. But I'm not gonna buy them right now, okay? So if you love these, that's fine. I'm just not going to buy them, at least not right now. So the first one is the Throne of Glass series. Okay, here's the deal, guys. I had an opportunity to procure this in ebook form at the price point that I would want to procure it at. And I said, oh, this sounds like a super interesting concept. Like, let me go read the description and like read some of the reviews. And as soon as I started reading the reviews that were talking about subsequent books, it was very clear to me that this was a series that many people felt got worse as it went. And here's the deal. My favorite way to read series is when they're done, because then I don't have to worry about getting invested in something that doesn't end well, right? Like, if I know that a series doesn't end like in a satisfying way, why would I start that series? Unless there's some just huge compelling reason why I have to, I don't want to start a series that I know I'm going to be disappointed in. So reading the reviews, it was really clear that I was probably going to be disappointed in this series. So I decided purposefully at that point not to buy it. So many people love these that I think it's called A Court of Thorns and Roses. Is that right? Something like that. I'm much more intrigued by, and it sounds like that series kind of came together better. So, and there's only 3 of them. That's the other thing. There's like a trio of them. So that I may get from the library, but for Throne of Glass, no. I'm not reading it. I don't need it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to read it. So next is anything by Cassandra Clare. Okay, here's the deal. Book Outlet has so many of her books. Like, so many of them, and some of them are in hardback, and I want them because they're pretty, and because I'm very intrigued by them, and everybody seems to love them, and I think that I probably will love them. So I put them in my cart, and I think I'm going to buy you. But then, responsible me says, no, your library has every single blasted one of these things, okay? Every single one in ebook form, so you don't even have to worry about getting this copy back to the library. Like, this is an ideal situation for you to read at least 2 or 3 of these from the library, and if at that point you are enjoying them, then, and only then, may you start procuring them in physical form. So, in this case, this is not I'm never gonna buy them. This is until I have done the time. Until I have put in the research and done the time to actually read a few of these, no, I'm not gonna buy them, because that would be dumb. Why, brain, do you think that it's a good idea to buy like the 5th book in the series in hardback? Because it's cheap? That's why. That's because it's cheap. And that is not a good enough reason. That is not a good enough reason to buy it at this point. So I'm not going to buy it until I have read a few of them from the library. Period. Done. And the last series is the exact same situation. It's that one from Maggie Steifvater? Maggie Steifvater? Her. Okay, I'm gonna put a picture of it here. This thing. The Raven Boys, whatever it's called. Okay, the covers are beautiful. and everybody seems to really like these. I probably also will really like these, but I can't buy them until I've read them. I can't. They're at the library. I need to get them from the library, and if I like them enough, then I may make them permanent members of my collection. But until then, I don't need it, and I'm not going to buy it, even though they're very, very pretty. And I guess I could add in Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom from Leigh Bardugo in this, but I literally am in line right now from the library to get those, and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna love them and be allowed to buy them afterwards. So I guess sort of those belong on here, but like there's an active plan that is in motion for me to read those, so I feel less passionately about needing to tell myself that I should not buy them, because actually I might be able to buy them pretty soon. So, like I said, this is my first Antihaul. This is the YA edition. If there was a book on here that's like one of your all-time favorites, that's fantastic. I hope that you bought it and that you enjoy it and that it is a beautiful part of your collection. That it just isn't gonna be a part of mine, and that's fine. Right? That's fine. So anyway, this is my first Antihaul, Booktube style. So what I'll do is I'll make sure to link a few of Kimberly Clark's videos below, because like I said, I want to be very clear that I got this idea from her, from Beauty YouTube. If you're into that, even if you don't like makeup, she's very entertaining, so it might be fun to watch if you enjoyed this format and this style. If you liked this video, like, let me know, because I think this is fun, but maybe other people don't. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know any books that you are anti-hauling for yourself that you are not going to buy. No matter how pretty they are or how much everybody's talking about them, you are not going to buy. And I think that's it. Yeah, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. And I think that's it. So I will just talk to you guys later. Bye.